Hi everyone, it's Gretchen here for our gold floral card workshop. So we've got a whole bunch of cards tonight, and they are pretty easy to put together. But if you choose to do the coloring, there is quite a bit of coloring. So I'm probably not going to do all of it. But I certainly, there are pictures in the instructions I sent, but we'll see how it goes. I'm sure you guys don't want to see me color for hours, but it's a good night for it because it's been a bit crazy couple of weeks. So it's a good night to sit down and relax and do some coloring. I'm going to be using my tri-blend markers, and I'll give you some hints, and you can use whatever coloring things you want to use. Hi to everybody, whether you're in disguise or not. Okay, so I am going to need my scoreboard. So this is the first card we're going to do, and the first card doesn't actually have any coloring, so we'll get this one together pretty quickly. So we're using the Picture My Life cards, which I had bought a while ago and never had gotten around to making samples of. I actually have a set that are in silver too. So if you like these, those will be coming up too. They are different designs. They are not the same designs, but I'll see what I can do with those. And I do have a couple sets of these left. So if you really like these cards and want to make some more, or you want to use them for a different project, I have a few sets left, so just let me know. I think they're like $7. And then this is the stamp set I used. I actually only used the one floral bouquet stamp. But if you're interested in that, that is available for $5 too. So this one's fun because it's got the mason jar, which you can put the bouquet in. But you can use it for a lot of other stuff too. You could put the candle in it, but I mean, I'm sure we all have stamps that would look nice in that mason jar. And as you can see, I made a mask of that mason jar, which is helpful when you're putting things in it. All right. So this is not as big of a Picture My Life card set as some of the other ones, so we should have an easy time finding the one we need. And indeed, the first one we need is the first one on top, this medallion type card. So I'm going to ask you to get your paper cutter out or your knife and ruler, and we're going to just cut this card in half. So on the 4-inch side, we're going to cut at 2, and then we've got 2 pieces. And then we're going to score our cardstock. So this is a card that goes into a business size envelope, a number 10 envelope. So that means it's 8.5 inches wide. And the other directions, it's 8 inches. And so we're going to put the 8-inch side at the top, and we have the darker side facing us. And we're going to score at 4 inches. I'm going to leave my scoring tool out. Maybe I'll be able to find it easier if I leave it on my desk, as long as it doesn't roll away. Okay, so let's see. I'm going to move these aside. And you have got your strip, which was the zip strip from the paper. And this paper comes from American Crafts. I've had it in my collection for a while. I had bought it, found it pretty, thought it would be nice to do a workshop with. And it was just waiting for its turn. So we have this zip strip with the writing. We have our big panel floral panel. We've got a small zip strip. And then we've got 2 1/4-inch pieces. That's like kind of looks like a corrugated piece when you see the bigger piece. I think I might have a little of this paper extra too. If anybody wants a couple of sheets, let me know. All right, so the first piece we're going to put down is this zip strip, and we're just going to put that on the edge of the right edge of our card, the side that opens. And we're just going to line that up with the cut edge of the card. Okay. And then the other pieces get put on centered on the card left to right, but between the fold and the edge, the left edge of that strip. So the first pieces we're going to put on are actually the 2 halves of the PML card. So you go ahead and put adhesive on both of those. And what we're going to do is we're going to put it so the medallion is either up or down. I'm going to put the bottom piece on down on first, and now we have a half of medallion here. So I'm going to center it left to right, like I said, between the fold of the card and the edge of the zip strip, and about 1/8 of an inch above the bottom edge of the card. Okay, and the measurement doesn't matter so much as you put it consistently. So we're going to do the same thing on the top of the card, and I turn mine upside down. So you just want the same spacing, centered left to right, and then about 1/8 of an inch from the top. So as long as it looks to be a similar spacing, that's all you're looking for. All right. So now we're going to put our floral panel down, and we are going to center it centered on the card, left to right and top to bottom. And it's actually going to overlap that those pieces we just added, which is why we did it in the order we did. And you can help, the designs on the card will help you with the centering space, because you could say like this, see this design here, these 2, and up here, I'm basically placing it just right at the top of that hump. It's covered a little bit. And if you eyeball your spacing of the designs up here, then you can see where it's centered. You could also use a ruler, of course, but I'm always happy to eyeball when I can. And then what's left are just these 2 little strips. So now these are 1/4 of an inch wide, so it is the width of my tape, and I never drive my tape gun straight. So I'm just rubbing my fingers along the edge to push the adhesive onto the back. And then I'm going to place one piece along the top of that floral panel, just butt it up right against it, the same width. And then I'm going to do the same thing with the other piece and put it at the bottom of the panel. And see, super easy, but beautiful. With all the beautiful paper, we don't always have to get really complicated with our cards to make a beautiful card. I did put some pieces on the inside of this one. That's why we have this strip left. I actually put 2 pieces, and we don't have this piece yet. It's from a card farther on. So we're going to go ahead and put this piece on, and then we'll put it aside, and we'll get back to it when we've cut this piece off. So I'm just going to put adhesive on the back of my zip strip here. I'm going to center it top to bottom and put it in about 1/2 inch from the fold. I have a little less than 1/2 inch here. That's a little better. And, you know, if you want a little more room at the bottom, you know, to sign your name or whatever, that works too. But we basically just want it there. And then we're going to put the other card in when we have it. This is a little darker cardstock, so it's nice to, you know, to put another piece in, so it makes it easier to write on. Sometimes the black ink is not as, doesn't show up as well on those darker colored cardstocks. So that's all we got to do on that one. Hopefully that warmed you up. Okay, and we got this one next. And we've got our cardstock. And we've got a zip strip. And we've got a floral panel and a slightly bigger gold panel. Now this gold cardstock is a cardstock I have been using for many, many, many years. I got it back in the good old days of Stamps to Die For. And I have had a collection for a long time. And but metallic cardstock is pretty easy to find in the craft stores these days. But if you can't find some, let me know, because I do still have some. Okay, so we have our stamped panel with our bouquet, which, like I said, came from this stamp set. And I just wanted another, you know, floral stamp to coordinate, and not as many as the PML cards had the flowers on them as I would have liked. So I used that one. And in terms of the PML cards, we are going to need the big one that has this lace border on it. So it has the lace border and then a bunch of lines. And then we're going to need the small one that has the polka dots to add this little accent strip. Okay. So let's go ahead and cut our pieces first. So on this lace one, we are just going to cut just past the lace. We don't want to include any of the lines. And because the lace is the smaller width piece, it's easier to put that the right and the rest of the card on the base of your cutting, your cutter. Of course, if you're doing it with a ruler and a knife, you might set it up a different way. I'm going to cut it so that it's set at about 2 15/16. It's the first line, the first little line, or the last little line before the 3, really, is the way to see that. You just want to make sure that you're getting all of the lace and none of the lines. The width of it, you know. Some of these cards are printed a little bit differently, so it's just easier to make sure you're cutting out the design completely. All right. And then we are going to put this aside because we are going to use this for something else. And then for our polka dots, we're going to cut with the 4-inch up at the top of your paper cutter. And we want 2 strips of dots, or 2 vertical lines of dots. So again, we're going to use the piece that's being cut off because that's the skinny piece. And I am setting it at 3.5 inches. And if I do that, then I get that piece that's got the 2 vertical strips of dots. And it's 3 inches tall by 1/2 inch wide. And then, of course, save you the rest of your dots for another card. And that's all the cutting we should have to do for now. But we do have to score our card. And we are going to, yep, not a big difference in this color cardstock. I believe the first one was sangria, and I believe this is pomegranate. So this is a 5x7 card. So you're going to put the 10 inches across the top of your scoreboard and score at 5 inches with the dark side facing you. Go ahead and fold that. Just going to put these pieces aside for now, so I've got a little room to work. All right, so the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to attach my floral panel on to the gold panel. Whoops. Don't drop it when the adhesive's on it, right? And I'm going to go ahead and center that on the gold panel. You should have about 1/8 of an inch border around all 4 sides. And then I can go ahead and add my adhesive to the back of that. This one I'm going to align to the right side of the card. It's going to be centered top to bottom. And so you have an 1/8 inch border at the top and the bottom. And then I'm also going to add that 1/8 inch border on the right side. So you've got the same size border around the 3 sides of the panel. Then we're going to attach our piece of lace. And we're going to place this so the straight edge is on the right, the curvy edge is on the left. We're going to put it, attach it to the card so you've got that 1/8 inch border at the top so that it's right in line with that gold panel, and the same spacing on the left. And then that same space, it should be more or less the same spacing between the 2 pieces. But if it's not quite exact, that's fine. But should be pretty similar. All right, so now that those are attached, we're going to put that aside and we're going to color our flowers. And now bear with me as I find the right markers. I tried to coordinate the colors I used. I used several different reds and corals because I wanted to coordinate with the colors of the pattern paper. So I'm just confirming my colors here. And this one is pale pink shades. Okay, so I used all 3 shades of this one, the light, the medium, the dark. I'm going to start coloring in petals with the lightest shade on this biggest flower on the left here, and we'll go ahead and continue to talk while I do that. So this stamp is stamped with the archival black ink, which means you can go ahead and color with alcohol markers. It won't run. You can color with water-based markers or colored pencils. You know, it doesn't matter. You could even do watercolors if you wanted to do that. The archival ink covers all your bases here. And nothing special about the way this one is colored. I am just doing some random, I'm following what I've already done, basically. So there isn't really a rhyme or reason to which petals I'm coloring in, except that when I first colored this flower in, and I might change things up a little bit, I colored the whole flower in with this lighter color ink. And then when I went back with the medium and the darker shades, I decided, you know, where I wanted to add some shading and add the deeper colors. So basically, I decided I wanted the darkest color in the center. So I'm going to go ahead and color the center petals with the darkest shade. Figuring often when a flower is all one color in the center, it's often darker. And so now I'm just going to add some more, color some more of the petals with the medium shade. So certainly you can, you know, color your flower any way you want. Do as much shading as you want. Color it all one color. It's fine. I have all the colors. I want to use them. I am coloring each petal individually because with these alcohol markers, if you color over the black lines, it will change the color of those lines a bit. And I also find that if I do that, it keeps me a little bit neater. Hopefully not coloring outside the lines too much. Okay, so this flower here on to the right, I am going to color in all with the medium. And then I'm going to add some shading with the dark. So I'm going to add that highlighting kind of near the bottom of the petals. And where it would seem that the petals are in shadow from the petals that are on top of it. Okay, and then this this last flower, I am just going to color all in with the dark. Okay. Now the these little tiny flowers and these little dots up here, I used the Vintage Blue Vintage Blue blend, sorry. And I took this color because look at the flowers on the panel are also this kind of bluish gray color. So I just took my colors right from the paper. And I'm using the lightest color on this marker for these. And just these two little circles up here. And then I'm using my dull green blend for my stems and my leaves. And I'm just basically tracing over the lines of the stem just to add some color to them. I'm using the darkest shade here. And then coloring the leaves. And that's it. Whoops. And then once that's all colored in, we can attach it to the pomegranate panel. Centered. It's a very skinny border on this one. Usually I have an 1/8 inch border, but this one I just did a 1/16 all the way around. Oh, sorry, Lindsay. I'm just looking. Is this pale pink? It is. It is a very pale pink. And yes, it is pale pink is the actual name for it. So there you go. Pale pink shades. Sorry, I was so busy coloring I didn't look at the comments. And you can have the stamp set, Judy. All right, so I put adhesive on the back here, and we're going to put it in the bottom left corner, and I'm putting it about a 1/2 inch up from the bottom of the card and a little more than a 1/2 inch from, maybe 3/4 of an inch from the left side, just so I can see a little more of that lace. Don't want to cover that up because it's so pretty. All right, and then we're going to put adhesive on the back of our dots. And I'm going to put that right up against the panel, and I'm going to center it on the panel top to bottom. And be careful it doesn't slip underneath, because mine was slipping there a little bit, just right next to it. And then we're going to put our gold strip. And I put it just so that it's right above. You see where the 3 stems come together? So that's where I'm going to rest it. I'm going to start it on the left-hand side here, right at the edge of the lace panel. I'm going to place it across that panel, right at that spot where they cross. And obviously I put my my flower panel over a little farther to the right than I did on my sample, so it's a little short, but that's okay because now I just see more of those dots. I'm not worried about it. Hopefully you're not either. I guess that's more important. All right, so on the inside, we're going to retrieve the rest of that card. That this is what we cut the lace off of. We are going to use those lines on the inside. So I'm going to put adhesive on this first. I am going to put this on the right side of the inside of the card. I'm going to leave about a 1/4 inch at the bottom and on the right. The bottom and the right. And then I'm going to put adhesive on my zip strip. And I'm going to go ahead and put that right alongside of the lined panel. And it should be the same height as your card, so it should fit top to bottom. And that is all that is required there. All right. Next up is the bright pink with the diagonal stripes. And you've got the big background piece. You've got a gold panel. You have a floral panel. You have a raspberry strip. That's the name of that cardstock. It's raspberry. You have your raspberry card. And you will also need your PML card that has the diagonal stripes on it. So the first thing I'm going to do is take out my paper cutter. And if you notice here, I trimmed off the corners of my PML card. It really bothered me when you look at this that they didn't go all the way to the corner with the stripes. So I chopped it off. So you can either do this on the on your paper cutter, or you can do it with a ruler and a knife. So if you look at the width of each stripe, you can see I have a stripe to the left and the right of the notches on my paper cutter. It's about 1/4 of an inch between them, a little more than 1/4 of an inch. So I know I can line this up easily. If you don't think you can line it up quite as easily, you can take your ruler and you can cut on 1/4 of an inch. I would suggest just cutting it at 1/4 of an inch, or maybe a wide 1/4 inch by putting your 1/4 inch line to the outside of that first line, and you can cut with your knife. You can eyeball it with scissors, or I'm lining up this gold line here in my paper cutter, and I'm go ahead and chop off the corner. That's actually a little wider than I'd like, so I'm going to put it back in and chop off a little more. And I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. If it doesn't bother you, you can leave your corners on. Oh, excuse me. Like I said, it's been a long couple of weeks. All right, so I'm going to score my cardstock. We are going to put the darker side facing us. Again, this is a 5x7 card, so you're going to put the 10 in the top of your paper, your scoreboard, and you're going to score it 5 inches. First panel we're going to put on is our big kind of watercolory background, our peachy and pink with some words on it. Honestly, I don't know if they're actually words or if it's fake writing. If it is words, it's not English, so I am not even going to try to interpret right now. All right, so this gets centered onto the front of the card, 1/8 inch border all the way around. Next goes on our stripes. I'm going to go ahead and put a line of adhesive right next to that diagonal. All right, so now this gets put on to the printed panel. You're going to put about 1/4 of an inch border between the edge of the stripes and the edge of the peachy panel at both the right and the bottom. So the result is that you have a smaller border on the right and bottom than you do on the left and the top. Just a little asymmetrical there. All right, then we're going to put, this is a bigger piece of that corrugated paper that we used on the first card. If you were interested what a bigger piece looked like. So this is the floral, and we're going to go ahead and put that centered on our gold panel. And some of these cards here, they just highlight the beauty of the pattern paper. All right, and so when we put these down, we're going to put about 1/4 of an inch to the right and the bottom between the gold panel and the striped panel, which gives us a bigger border on the left and the top. And then we can put adhesive on the lighter side of our raspberry strip. And this strip should be the height of your card, so it'll reach from top to bottom. You're going to put the right edge of about an inch from the right edge of your card, although it is not crucial exactly where you put it, as long as it's off center, because it's always going to look better off center than it is centered. And that's all there is to it. This one, I did not put anything on the inside. There are going to be some pieces left over when we're done. So you go ahead and decorate the inside of whichever ones you want to. There weren't enough pieces to decorate the inside of all of them, so I figured a couple of them I'd leave for you to decide what you liked best. Okay. So the next one. Now this one, mine is not actually a card. The one I make here will be a card. Yours will be a card. I just put it on a panel because I was afraid I was running out of cardstock and I didn't want to run out of cardstock. So I just put it on a panel and I'm going to attach that onto a card. At some point, of course. And so this is an older color cardstock. This is Smoothie. It is back from the days where both sides are the same color, so it doesn't matter which side you put facing up in your scoreboard. But it is a 5x7, so the 10 is going to be at the top. We're going to score at 5. Okay. The cards we will need for this one are the plaid and the small bouquet. All right, so we're going to put the plaid down first. And that's going to, as you can see, is going to go in the top left corner with a 1/8 inch border at the top and the left. We're going to put our floral panel on next. And that's going to go in the bottom right corner with an 1/8 inch border at the bottom and the right. We're going to put our gold panel on next. I'm going to put everything but the card we're going to color in. And that is going to be about 1.25 inches from the top and about 1/4 inch from the left edge of the plaid panel. So 1.25 inches from the top of the card and 1/4 inch from the left of the plaid panel. Again, it's not, I'm telling you where I placed it. It's not super crucial that you're in the exact same spot. Basically, you just want to see the beauty of some of the papers and the cards. I'm putting adhesive on the back of my peachy printed panel next, and I'm going to layer this on the gold panel and leave about 1/8 of an inch at the top and the left side of the gold panel. So you leave the border only at the top and the left, and then it'll overlap your floral panel here. And then if it bugs you that I don't always cut, sorry about that. It's so hard to cut these exactly straight. You can cut off the excess. You see I had a little bit of black on the edge of my zip strip. You can cut that with scissors or a knife. If you place that next to a similar color paper, it's not noticeable, but since it's going over white paper, it will be. All right, so I'm going to align this with this right edge of the card and then center it in this one, I guess. When I place this down, I totally didn't pay attention to my own measurements that I gave you. Again, it doesn't matter, but I'm just going to move it so it looks more like what I told you. There we go. Luckily, the adhesive didn't really adhere too strongly yet. That gives me a little more room. So I'm about aligned with the right side of the card, and I'm centered kind of between the space of the top card and the top of the card and the top of the gold panel. So just so that it's above everything else and aligned with the right edge. Okay. So now if you would like to color in this panel, see, I think it looks just as beautiful. If you're not in the mood for coloring, you can just leave it, the gold and the white. I'm just trying to figure out which color I used, because I didn't think, I guess it is. It's the same one I used on the last card. So it's the pale pink shades. I'm going to move that aside. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to color in the flower on the right. And I'm going to color in the top 5 petals. I'm not going to color the 4 petals that sit behind them, just the big ones on top. And I will say, if you are using an alcohol marker like I am, you want to try not to color too much on the gold printing, the gold embossing, whatever you want to call it, of the card. The alcohol inks will, if you color it on the gold, it will stick to the gold. So if you wanted to cover up the gold, you could color up right over it. I mean, it's still going to come through a little bit, but it will change the color of the gold printing. If you are using a water-based marker, the ink will pool on the gold. The gold will not absorb a water based ink. So if that's the case, you want to make sure you have a tissue with you while you're coloring. And when you're done coloring, you could either do each section or you can wait till you're done. You want to just blot up any extra ink that might be pooling on that gold, because that will never dry. And if you touch it, you will get your fingers inky. And if you rub another piece of paper over it, that color, that ink will run. And I mean, that's not just like these cards, that's any non-porous surface. So like if you were to use embossing powder and melt it, I know we don't do that well at all in these workshops, because then everybody would have to have the embossing ink, the embossing powder, the embossing gun, and I don't want everybody to have to buy all of those individual tools for a class. You know, it's really fun. I love to do it, but I don't want, I would try to keep the prices of the classes reasonable. So I try not to make you buy a ton of different supplies. But anyway, if you were to emboss like that, it would also pool on that embossing powder. So I don't know if, now it dries too quickly. I was going to say, I don't know if you catch it quick, if you'd even get the alcohol ink, but no, the alcohol ink, what's different about it is designed to color on non-porous surfaces, whereas the watercolor ink is not. So regular paper is porous. Most things that have a sheen to it are non-porous, and even like glass and metal and things like that, and plastic. All right, so now I'm going to switch to the medium color, and I'm going to go ahead and color in those 4 petals that look like they're behind the top petals. I'll hold it up in a minute. So you got to be careful that you don't get the shine of the gold in the camera there, and the light reflection. So I did the 5 top with the lighter color, and I'm going to do the 4 backgrounds with the medium. Did I say light? The 5 top ones with the light, the 4 back ones with the medium. And I find that I was so careful not to color over the gold areas with my marker that I did miss a few areas. The light is shining, glinting off the gold printing for me too, so I'm just having to hold it up a little bit so I don't get that, so I can see what I'm doing. Okay. Go back to the medium. In addition to the 4 back petals, I'm also going to highlight the middle of the flower with some of the medium, kind of just draw some radiating lines where you can see the gold pattern is, just to make it look like, I know that's out of focus, but it's not glaring at you. Just to make it look like it's deeper in the middle of the flower there. All right, and now I am going to go back to the medium color, and I'm going to color in on this left flower. I'm going to kind of color in this petal, that bigger petal there, and then I'm going to color in this petal here with the medium. And also this third one. So it's kind of like the three that are clustered around the middle. And then I'm going to take out the darker shade and color in most of the other ones, because these look like the petals that it's, as the flower is opening, you know, you get the inside of the petal. And so that's where the deeper color would be. And again, I'm going to kind of lift this up a bit so I can see what I'm doing. These are really beautiful when they're colored, but the light glinting off that gold is, you wouldn't think it would be that significant, but it, at least the way I guess I have my lights are, I found it was a little bit of a challenge when I made the samples too. So it's working under the same light. So now the nice thing about the alcohol inks is once you've got it all colored in, you can let it dry for a minute or a few seconds really. And then if you want it deeper in a couple of areas, you can kind of go over it and it will take in some more color and make it a little darker. You got to be careful if you do that with watercolors though, because if you get it too wet, the paper will start peeling. So just make sure it dries in between. All right, so that's it so far. Trying to get it to focus better. Okay, so so now we're going to go down to this third flower, and I am going to color in, whoops, grabbed the wrong side of the marker there. I'm going to color in these three petals, basically the bottom left petals with the medium, and then I'm going to go in and fill in the rest with the darker. So, you know, the one we did first is all open, so some of the lighter color can be seen in that. And then these haven't quite fully opened yet, so they're a bit darker. That's my reasoning for the colors I picked. Not that I am a flower expert at all. And of course, if you had even more colors, you can get even fancier or more complicated with this shading. Also with colored pencils, because of course with colored pencils you can do a lot more with shading than you can with the markers. But that's why I like these alcohol markers, because you can do a little extra. Extra shading and blending. Just highlighting some of these areas, adding a little deeper color. And there you go. I guess I'm too close. It just doesn't want to do a complete clear focus on that close. Sorry, I know my camera isn't the best, but okay. And then the green I used was the dull green again, and I am going to use mostly the lightest shade, and then add some deeper blending with the medium shade. The leaves have less space between the gold printing, so you kind of can't help but color over them. You're never going to color in all the white area without touching the gold. I imagine you could if you had infinite time and patience, which I definitely do not. And I wouldn't think anybody receiving one of these cards would notice a whole lot. Okay. So basically I colored in all the leaves with the light color, and now I'm going through with the medium color and just adding in some shading. While I'm coloring here, I am going to say that I am not planning on doing a Christmas card class. Unless there is, you guys absolutely really want a Christmas card class and you know, you really want me to do something, please let me know. But not everybody always wants the Christmas cards because they get an idea on their own. So, so let me know, if everybody wants one, I will do one. Otherwise, I'm just going to skip it this year. It's funny because, usually I try to do it in July or August, and the summer just kind of slipped by, and somebody mentioned it, and I was like, oh my gosh, I never even thought about the Christmas cards yet, I don't know where the time went. So I just used the medium to color in all those little buds back there. Yes, thank you. If you get a chance to click the thumbs up on the video, give my YouTube ratings a bust. I mean, not a bust, a boost. Okay, so now that is colored, we're gonna put adhesive on it and put it right in the middle of our peachy panel. And there you go. You should be able to see the coloring on the instructions, but if you need a clearer picture of anything, just let me know. Okay, so this is another card with the raspberry cardstock. This next one here. So we're going to do a couple of banners. And we've got our floral panel and our raspberry cardstock and the PML card that has the big beautiful flower in the corner. All right, so we're going to cut this one, and the piece we cut off is what is on the inside of the first card we did. So let me just confirm this measurement here. So we want to keep 3 3/8 inches. So we're going to put this in our paper cutter upside down. So our flower is on the left. And we are going to cut that at 3 3/8 inches. And if you're questioning, it is just past right there, that leaf. So basically we wanted the complete floral design. And this is extra. And before I continue on with this card, I'm going to go ahead and put that down. So on, I just have to find the right one. So on our first card, our tall card, I'm going to go ahead and put adhesive on the back of this and open the inside of the card. And we're going to put this right up against our strip that we already added, center it top to bottom. And there we go. Now we got a nice panel to stamp our message, stamp or write our message. All right, so this one we have a 12-inch long piece of cardstock by 4.5, and that gets put in the top of the just want to make sure this is, it looks like an actual different shape. Yeah. The darker color upright, 12 inches along the top of the scoreboard. Score at 6 inches. And this card will open sideways. We've got our floral panel here. So the right side is basically going to be covered. The left side is going to show. So you can pick on your panel, like, okay, so I have these flowers towards the left, so I want to show that as opposed to this, which only has these tiny flowers. So that's how I'm going to put this on. And everybody's panel is going to be slightly different. So you can just decide what kind of what direction you want to put it on. And it gets centered on the front of the card, 1/8 inch border all the way around. All right, now I'm not going to go through the coloring of all this because I'm pretty sure you're probably bored with watching me color by now. So I'm going to just tell you what I did here, which was I used a different marker on this one. I used the magenta blend. I just want to confirm that I'm telling you the right thing. And this is a much brighter pink than the other marker. And what I did was I colored most of the flowers. Here you can see I colored most of the flowers in with the medium shade of this marker. And then I added those shading highlights, well, shading, and then the buds with the dark shade. I'm going to hold this up for a minute because if you're going to rewatch the video. Okay, bye, Lindsay. Thanks for coming. Oh, so you can pause the video and refer back to it if you need to. Okay. And then with the leaves, I used a slightly different color green, although if you only still have the same green, that's fine. But this is the jade green shades, and it's a little brighter green. I figured with the brighter pink, I'd go with the brighter green. And again, I used the light shade. I colored in the leaves with the light shade, and then I added the shading with the medium color. So I just colored all that in and then added my banners. But let's go ahead and dovetail our banners. We'll go over that so you're all set to go. And I just want to, again, confirm these measurements. Okay, so on the pink banner, if you want to mark these measurements, on the back of it, I'm going to draw a line instead of just a dot so you can see. So I'm going to draw a line 1/4 inch up from the bottom edge, okay? And then this banner is 3/4 inch wide. So at the center is 3/8. So I'm going to cross that line at 3/8. So you can see I have that. Gosh, I'm not happy. I might have to replace my camera here. So I've got that X. So what I'm going to do then is take my scissors and I'm going to cut. And you can draw this with a pencil first. You can use a knife and blade. You can use scissors. You draw it. You can see I drew from the corner to that point of that X and from the corner to the point of the X. And I'm going to go ahead and cut on those lines. Yeah. I think I'm going to have to look into a new camera, guys. I don't know if I dropped it one too many times or it just... All right, and then you have this nice dovetail. I guess I should probably not try to get closer because it seems to be focused good down here, but not if I bring it up. All right, so then we're going to do the same thing on the gold banner, but just slightly different measurements. So on the back of the gold, you're going to draw a line across at 1/2 inch. And this banner is 1.25 inches wide. So 1/2 inch is 5/8. So we can draw our vertical line at 5/8. Stop picking it up. And then we can draw our lines from the middle of the X to the corner and the middle of the X to the corner to draw our V here. And then go ahead and cut on those lines. You can also, if you don't want to do all this measuring, you can just eyeball. They're usually not quite as precise, but that's okay. All right, so now we have our two banners. This one doesn't want to let me pick it up. And so you can see after we color our flower here, we're going to attach it to the right side of the card, and we're going to give an 1/8 inch border between the floral card and the floral paper. And you're going to have equal center at top to bottom, same spacing on the right. And then you're going to put down your gold banner, align it with the top. You're going to put it so it is overlapping the floral panel. You're going to have about 1/4 to 1/2 inch on the left-hand side where it's not overlapping. And then again, you're going to put your raspberry banner, use the right side, align it with the top of the card, and you're going to have just about little less than 1/4 inch hanging off the edge of the gold banner. So that'll complete that card. So I decided to do something a little bit different for this next card. And what I did was I created a pocket on this panel that the card can slip into. And there's nothing actually that folds. Okay. So you've got your panel here, which is 5x7, your floral panel. You've got your cardstock, which is sangria. You're going to use the darker side. You need your big floral bouquet PML card, which we're going to trim out just a little bit. And then you need what's left of your polka dot card. Remember, we cut that strip off. So what I'm going to do with this, and you can do this on your paper cutter, or you could do it with a ruler and a knife, and your card is going to be slightly taller than it is wide, because it's 3 inches wide and it's 3.5 inches tall now, because we cut that 1/2 inch off. So you're going to put it so it's 3.5 inches tall. You're going to put your knife across the diagonal from top left to bottom right. You could also stick this in your paper cutter, do it that way. At this point, you can either draw a line that you can cut on with scissors, or you can just make your cut with your craft knife. Again, from the top left to the bottom right. and you've got 2 triangles. The first triangle we're going to make into the pocket. So you could do this with tape. I prefer to make pockets with glue because the glue dries completely. It doesn't leave any stickiness. If you use tape, sometimes there's some stickiness, and when you stick this in, it would get caught on that tape. That's not going to happen with glue. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to flip this over, and on my 2 straight edges, I'm going to make sure my glue is flowing, and I'm just going to do a small bead of glue along each of the edges. I don't want too much glue. I want a significant pocket for that card to stick into, and it doesn't need to be in focus for you to see it, I don't think. And then I'm going to go ahead and put it against the left bottom corner of my floral panel and stick it down. And then I'm not going to mess with it until I know it's dry. And it's not a whole lot of glue, so it's not going to take that long to dry. I had some glue seep out the edges there, so I'm just wiping that up. All right, and that's the only thing you need the glue for in this. Now we're not going to waste this other corner. We're going to use this other corner. Now, if you wanted to make another card and use it for that, that's fine. But we're going to decorate the back of our panel here. So this is the lighter side of the sangria panel. And this we're just going to tape down because this is not going to be a pocket. It's just decoration. Just an accent piece. Just want to make sure there's adhesive in my corners so they don't stick up. And again, I'm just going to align the top and left edges with the back of that card and stick that down. Okay. And then we're going to trim our panel, and all we're going to do is our PML card, and we are going to trim, just confirming here, 1/8 of an inch off of each side. All right, so if we put it in right side up, you're going to cut at 3 7/8. You can turn it around and cut it at 3 3/4. All right, so now it is 3 3/4 inch wide, and you can see it fits onto our panel just fine. Okay, now we're going to cut 1/8 inch the top and the bottom as well. Are we? Yep. So you're going to cut it at 5 7/8. Now, my trimmer does not go that wide, so I am estimating my 1/8 of an inch there. And then you're going to put it in, and I know the edge of my paper cutter here is 5. Hold on a second. Okay, it just didn't seem right at first. Is 5 3/4. So you're going to turn it around on the other long edge and trim it at 5 3/4. And then it fits perfectly in the center of your cardstock. And then you're going to color it in. So I used, for this one, I used my dark red blend marker. So I am just confirming my colors here. Okay, so this is dark red blend. Dark, yeah. So where's my pointer here? So these two flowers here, I use the light shade for most of the petals. And then I added some shading deep in those petals with the medium shade. These, the two smaller flowers. The other three flowers I colored in with the medium shade and added highlighting or shading with the dark shade. And this biggest one, I had the most dark. I made most of the petals dark, which just kept some of the medium and some of the highlight spots. And these two are, this one's maybe half medium, half dark, and this one's maybe 2/3 medium, 1/3 dark. Again, you can probably see it a little better in the picture on the instructions. The leaves, which are mostly gold, you can see, where I could color in, I used my dull green blend again. And I colored the leaves in there and then added some shading a little bit with the medium shade. The light and the medium. And down here, like we did on that stamped image, I added some of the light color along the edges of these stems. And you can do that up here with some of these stems here too. Brings a little more green into the picture. And then these little tiny flowers, there's 2 on the right side here and 3 in the bottom left. I used that vintage blue blend, that really gray blue, and I colored in the flowers with the light. Missed a spot here. And then added some shading with the medium. And I did the same thing with the bow, the light and some shading with the medium. And then once it's colored, you can attach it to your cardstock panel. You've got your dots on the back, and then you can go ahead and put it in your pocket. And I am not going to put it in the pocket yet. The glue should be dry, but just in case it's not, I'm going to go ahead and play it safe. So that's that card. Just going to clean up these pieces here, and then we can talk about the final card. All right. So this is one of those flap cards we've done in other classes. And I was going to say, where are my pieces of cardstock here? All you should have in your envelope are the 2 pieces of sorbet or smoothie, I think, cardstock. And then You'll need your last large PML card that has all these lovely lacy medallions on them. You're going to need this smaller one that has the circle and the floral around it. And on the inside, we're going to use this lined card. All right. So what you have left is this this card with the sprays in the corner, and you can leave this blank, or I would color these sprays in. Well, depending on what card you're using, you might want to use the gray blue. You could use a pink. You can use a green, and then I would probably pick one of the cards, maybe this one. Now, you could cut it in half and use it on 2 cards, or you can use it on one as an insert on one of your cards here. Whichever one you like, or you can do something totally different. All right, so I left that for you to do with what you want. All right, so let's talk about the coloring on this one. So I used the coral blend and the coral shades. Yeah, I use both of them on here. Okay, so let me see here, because I know not everybody has these markers, but I want to let you know what I used in case you are curious. Basically, how these work are the blend are supposed to be the lighter colors and the shades are supposed to be the darker colors. So you would actually have kind of 6 in a spectrum if you had them all. So, all right. So here we go. Let's assemble the card first. We're going to use our scoreboard. And on the smaller piece, again, this is an older cardstock, so it does not have different shades on the front and back. It's the same color. You are going to put the 3 3/4 at the top of your scoreboard, and you are going to score at 3 1/4. All right, and that gives you a 1/2 inch flap here. I can put that away because it's our last score. Go ahead and fold on that. And you can go ahead and put adhesive on the inside of your flap. And I'm going to make sure I put 2 strips, and they're going to overlap a little bit, but I want to make sure I cover as much of the flap as possible. So you can see from that shine, I put the adhesive on the inside of that flap. And then what I'm going to do is pick up my larger panel. I'm going to try to keep this relatively flat. I'm going to put this on top, the smaller panel flap on top. I'm going to line up the right edge of the larger panel with the fold of the smaller flap. That's what, don't fold it all the way back. Just bring it back like 90 degrees. You want to make sure it's nestled right into that fold and centered top to bottom. And once you've got that, you can go ahead and press down the flap underneath. And you're going to want to burnish that because you want that to have a good stick. Okay? And that's all you need to do to connect two pieces here to create your flap. All right, so on the inside of the flap, we're going to put this lined card. I'm going to put the space, the edge with this bigger space at the top, and that'll get centered on the flap. Your 1/8 inch border all the way around. If you are not interested in coloring, you can go ahead and attach your panel now, and you can attach it to the center of the large panel of cardstock. I do suggest waiting until coloring first and then attaching. That's what we've been doing all the way around, simply because sometimes the ink leaks through, and you don't want to leak through your card. It shouldn't leak through 2 layers, but just in case, better to be safe. All right, and then if you want to color this, you can color it and then attach it to the front of the flap centered, or you can leave it gold. You can color both. You can color one. This circle would be a great place to write a message, happy birthday, thinking of you, if you had a stamp that fits in there. Or you could just leave it blank. All right, so let me go over the colors with you. So again, for the leaves on this smaller panel, I used my dull green blend, and I colored all of the leaves in with the light shade, and then added shading with the medium color. Now, if you only have one color, one of the color of the markers, you can do that. I had the 2, so I could go ahead and add as many colors as I wanted, but this was the darker one, the coral shades. I used the lightest. I basically colored in most of the flowers, and I missed a couple of spots here. Actually, maybe I didn't. It's hard to see sometimes with the gold. Did you miss the spot, or is that the gold glinting off of it? So I colored in most of the flowers here with the light color of the coral shades. It's the lightest of the 3. And then I added the shading inside the petals with the medium color. And now with this panel, this was fun because you could get really creative. So like with this one here, I started with the lightest shade I had. So it was the light one of the coral blends. Gosh, sorry, I can't. Okay, maybe that's better. So the inside row of arches was all colored with the lightest coral shade I had. It's coral blend. Then the next row was colored with the darkest of the coral I had, the coral blend. Then I skipped to the coral shade marker, and I did the medium color, and that's with, it was these dots, these circles, and the arches that kind of made up the next section. And then these big arches I did with the dark shading. So I did that same coloring here down on this one. I did the light coral blend, the dark coral blend, the light and the medium and the dark of the coral shades. So that's 5 layers out. I kind of wish I had this as a stamp because it was a lot of fun. This one here, I did the light coral blend and the dark coral blend. So the little arches all the way around the circle was the light, and the couple of bigger ones surrounding it was dark. There, you can see it there, the difference in the colors. This lacy one, I did the lightest coral blend in the top arches of these lace pieces, the medium in the 2 side pieces, and the medium of the blend in the center, these little center sections, so they popped out a little more. I did that same color in these triangle sections. I know it's really hard to see. I'm going to look at those pictures again and make sure you can see them really well in the pictures. And then there are these little tiny flowers all the way around the lace. And those I did with the lightest shade again. Okay, Kathy, good to see you. Thanks for taking the class. Let me know if you have any questions. And if you need to borrow any colors, just let me know. And then this lacy piece here, again, the lightest coral blend color on the very outside of these kind of the rounded to the point shapes. I don't know what that shape is called. They use it as the now like a GPS marker in all those images, but it's not an oval because it's pointy on one side, but. And then I used the dark coral blend on the triangles in between them. And then in the middle here, there's these little kind of parenthesis shapes. You got the flower in the middle. So let me start with that. In the flower in the middle, I used the light color of the coral blend. And then the parentheses on either side, I used the light color of the coral. No, sorry. The light of the coral shade is the flower. The light of the coral blend is on the outside. So the lighter coral, little deeper coral for the flower. And then this thing that together kind of looks like a heart, that I used the medium of the coral blend. But I mean, really, honestly, you can use all kinds of different shades. It doesn't have to be exactly what I did. It's just using the different lighter and darker colors that, you know, you can have fun with them. And then if you don't have the markers, pencils are great for that, because for the lighter colors, you could just give it a light touch, and you can use the same pencil and give it a little more intensity to get a medium color, and then you can give it a lot of intensity, make it really put a lot of pressure on that pencil to make a dark color. So those are the cards. And like I said, if you have any questions about that coloring, just let me know. I just didn't think you wanted to watch me color do all that coloring, and you can't color at the same time as you're watching me anyway. But, if you need better pictures or if you need help with colors, I'm happy to help out. And, otherwise, I'll see you next time. Oh, I also did color in these little tiny dots that are on the outside of this more solid gold, and that you definitely can't see in the picture. But I did color those in with not the lightest shade, but the second lightest shade there. Possibly a darker shade would look a little better there, because that would pop out a little more. So I may try that. So have fun coloring. I hope you like these. Let me know if you need anything, and I will see you again soon. Have a good night.